go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It's markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Friday, August 18th, 2023. It's Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market and the stock market as we get ready for the United States stock market to open up in the next 8 minutes. We, of course, will take a look over there at metals. We'll look at the U.S. dollar currency index. We'll take a look at any type of news that is going on out there. Again, this is just another one of those boring Fridays where not a whole lot is going on out there in the cryptocurrency market, so this will probably be a pretty boring stream. Of course, I'm just kidding. This has been one of the most chaotic evenings, afternoons that we have had in crypto in a long time. As a matter of fact, it is actually the most chaotic thing that we've had ever since the FTX collapse, as yesterday, in a 4 to 5 minute time period, we experienced more liquidations in the cryptocurrency market than we did during FTX. In the last 24 hours, we've had $1.04 billion of liquidations take place in crypto. For reference, for the FTX collapse, that actually was $875 million. And this, of course, all just took place in the blink of an eye happening over there in crypto. I actually was watching live. I had just gotten done sending somebody a bunch of charts. We were talking about the United States stock market, and I just got done wrapping it up. It was late in the afternoon. I was about ready to call it a day, finished sending over those charts, and then looked over at XRP and saw XRP at 55. I'm like, huh? And then 52, huh? And then 48, 45, 43, whoom. Crazy, crazy thing. Happened so fast. 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. 4 minutes, all the chaos happens. And then we've just really just kind of been settled down in here ever since that ended up happening yesterday, when just the biggest liquidation event in a long time has happened. I posted over there on Twitter yesterday saying I've tried to go back through reference points, like specifically for XRP, and go through like C19, go through the SEC lawsuit. What other one was there? The FTX collapse. And you go through it, and to see that type of price action happen in a matter of just a couple of minutes is something just a new paradigm. Crazy, something we haven't seen. So we'll take a look. We'll go through a lot of this stuff. I've already started recording a video. It's about 15 minutes long. So once I get done with Markets in the Morning, I will finish that and put that out. And then I was on the phone with somebody for hours talking about markets yesterday. Before all this happened, and we were just talking about the bigger macro perspective of everything, and just, how long do you think we have left in markets? As you guys know about the stock market, talking about it getting up there near its peak, how high it's actually gone. I'll even bring that up here in this live stream, and then we'll talk about that in the video that I will release. The timing of all this. Of course, we get news, right? So we'll address that first. We get some news that ends up happening. You have two events that end up happening. You have Evergrande, which is a large real estate company in China, goes under. If you remember back in 2022, this was talked about all the time during the panic of 2022, and everybody's searching for recession, talking about Evergrande going under, which is a large Chinese real estate builder. They filed for bankruptcy yesterday. Then at like the same time, news hits from Wall Street Journal that Elon Musk and SpaceX have sold all of their Bitcoin at the same time. So we see big moves down. So of course, everybody thinks that, that's panic selling. That's not panic selling. When you go through 5 minutes or 4 minutes of that big of a liquidation, that's just exactly what it is. We crossed a threshold that triggered everything to absolutely cascade in a monumental way. Do we have news to go with it? Yes. Have we always seen news to go with it? Yes. But are there bigger problems at play? So we're about to get the stock market to open here in a minute. And that's going to be really the focus today too. Is this now going to cascade over there into the United States stock market? Because when all of this occurred, this happened after the US stock market was already closed. So we saw the stock market pull back and especially go down and close really low yesterday. And it stayed down there at the lows into the closing yesterday. And then after the market was closed, boom, you get hit with two sets of news that are happening in there. You think the US stock market's going to give two cents about Elon Musk selling Bitcoin? No, of course not. Are they going to be worried about what's going on over there in China? It seems like it. You look at the headlines everywhere. China steps up efforts to stabilize markets and confidence slumps. China's hidden financial dangers erupt with shadow bank crisis, right? Cuts China's growth forecast. China's state developers warn of deeper losses. This is the thing to look over there for the stock market to see if we're going to have more cascade. Is what happened in crypto actually just a forecast of what's coming in the stock market today? So we look over here at the US stock market and you can see that it's actually, we do see the Dow down 150 points in pre-market. So we're going to see it closed down 290 points yesterday. And we're down 150 in pre-market. So is this about to cascade when we see the United States stock market open up here in the next 2 minutes from right now? So trying to see when it gets through this level, what happens? Cascading breaks down and shoots its way through there. So there is going to be some concern now with this big move that has happened in Bitcoin. But at the same time, we know that we've been through these things before. As long as our current lows are holding right now at $24,800, the dream is not dead for Bitcoin. But that wasn't a good move to see happen over there for Bitcoin to cascade down like that. We know that we've been in here. We've had these ranges that can build like this in this exact spot after having these types of corrections, and those types of things can happen. What do? You liquidate everybody. You bring in some really bad news that marks a new low, and then you can start rampaging your way up. But right now, we don't know if that's the low. We don't know if things are done. It was a massive, crazy 5-minute move that happened yesterday. Now we're going to watch the stock market open up in about a minute, and we're going to see how it does react in here. So we'll see if things get absolutely bonkers in there. Of course, we saw XRP completely tank yesterday. Let me see if right there. XRP gets right back onto the support level. What happens? The cascading liquidations happen. Wham! It goes flying right back through. Absolutely heartbreaking to see that happen over there on XRP. So we'll address this in the video today, and maybe as we get further into this, after we get through the market opening, we can come back to XRP. But that, of course, that's a herder right there to see that the whole breakout, the whole support, a year and 2 months held in here gets completely shattered by a liquidation event happening throughout all of crypto. So let's go ahead and jump over to the stock market to watch as it gets ready to open up in a matter of seconds. There you go. Dow Jones. Are we open yet? We're not getting updated figures. YM1, okay, down 201 points as the stock market does open for the Dow, down 192. You can see the Nasdaq's down 160, now down 126, 198 for the Dow. Okay, let's just kind of see things settle here and see if we continue this plunge down to the downside happening in here. Right out the gates on the openings, I don't know if we have updates there yet for United Health. You can see Coinbase down 3%, Meta down 2.5%, Tesla down 2%, ARK 2. Really bloodbath so far to get the stock market opening with the Dow Jones open 200. 200's not like devastating yet. I think something the thing that I would be more concerned about is if we see like a negative 1,000 point day today. That's where things would be like, okay, there's like real problems here. That means our whole breakout, even for the Dow Jones happening in here, gets lost. If you go take that back, right, it makes the whole thing a fake out. That's really kind of the watch today. Does this end up being like a really big down day, or does what happened in crypto actually a broader, huge market issue happening in here? So far, being down only 166, 160, 150 for the Dow. Okay, 0.5%. I think that's okay for the first minute, but we know things can change dramatically. So we'll come back to it throughout this live stream to see how that does go. Let's look at other things as we see the markets now start to open. We could see gold is slightly up. Gold is up $5 right now. You can see that silver is up slightly, but silver's kind of been at this level for a couple of days. Same with gold. Gold's nothing huge here at 1890. So no big changes happening in here. The US dollar currency index, that's one to keep an eye on, right? What it's back at that support level. That was a resistance level last time, right? So we're still sitting here right now. We'll see if we get the dollar to end up breaking out in there. But all right, let's head back on over to crypto to talk about the huge break that happened over there in Bitcoin that cascaded liquidations everywhere. If you're just tuning into this, of course, there was news timed with this. I posted over there on Twitter yesterday. I was like, SEC, let's see if I can get this word right, interlocutory appeal, right? Got approved by Taurus for them to file the appeal. So they're supposed to file that appeal today. That's due today. And it was like, okay, we've been looking for some news today with this price action. Okay. And then I saw a TXMC post over there on Twitter saying, hey, I just hope we get like some tethered DPEG FUD or something like that to go ahead and put an end to this. Of course, neither one of us actually cheering for real negative news, but what has always happened at the marks of every bottom at the end of 2022 and into 2023, it's always been marked with really negative news. Boom, it did show up yesterday. So yesterday you get Evergrande, a large real estate company over there in China, goes under, files for bankruptcy. This was huge worries, huge narratives back in 2022 as the markets were falling. Constant talk of Evergrande over there in China. And then, of course, you get mixed in there some Elon Musk selling Bitcoin. SpaceX sells $373 million of their Bitcoin or something like that. So of course, Bitcoiners worry about that because they thought they had Team Elon on there. We haven't had confirmation from Elon to know whether or not that's true. But the thing is, I understand it's negative news, but we have to say this was definitely a liquidation event. There was a point of failure where everything just shattered in the market. And when we look at the liquidations of what happened in here, these liquidations exceeded that of FTX. So it was in a matter of 4 to 5 minutes. Some charts show it as in 4 minutes. Some charts show it as in 5 minutes. We watched liquidations exceed that of the entire FTX collapse, 24-hour period for FTX, which was $875 million. Here we are at 1.04. So that's how dramatic it was. And it happened so fast. It happened in practically a blink of an eye. You look and suddenly it's done. In 4 minutes, boom, you had an FTX collapse happen all at once. So there you go for Bitcoin. Not the prettiest thing to see that happening over there for Bitcoin. However, it still is holding that those lows. We have seen that before. If you go take out those lows, we're going to start really bringing up the thing that I got accused of engagement farming for over there on Twitter. I wrote my newsletter about this topic. I'll show the receipts over there in the video that I have today. We've talked about this a lot last year. I've got like 4 different videos I was able to quickly reference to back in September and August and even as early as April back in here before the Luna collapse happened in here discussing about this topic. Should we go take out the lows for Bitcoin and we take out $24,800, you start really kind of losing the whole hope and optimism that you're really just having a really tough time battling against a ceiling in here. But more that you're working on some type of a reversal that's coming in here for Bitcoin. So this is what we'll talk about in today's video. And like I've stayed true with all of 2022 is a retracement for Bitcoin. This would be a pretty sad retracement for Bitcoin. But it's something to keep in mind and something we'll talk about in today's video. And really the line in the sand to really keep your eyes on is going to be that $24,800 price level for Bitcoin. Moving over to XRP. Boy, what a heartbreaker to see that happen. It happened so aggressive at the same time. We sat on top of the supports. What happens? The whole market liquidates. What happens? All stop losses and liquidations happen over there in XRP at the exact same time. That's a tough one to have happen over here for XRP because now we're back in the exact same range that we've been in for a year and 2 months. I've seen people make guesses that we would have similar to an SEC lawsuit sell-off happen in here. Obviously, that's very similar to what it looks like at this point. If that were the case, that would still indicate the lows are still not in for XRP right now. But that wouldn't paint exactly the brightest future for XRP if that ends up being the case to happen in there. So with how fast this has all happened, how aggressive it all has happened, definitely needing to give this a little bit of time to play out to formulate my own thoughts and my own thesis on what actually happened here with the price action for XRP, because it is not exactly the bull structures we look for to see a range breakout, only for a range to break back in. I think the one thing we can maybe hope for is to see a recovery come in quickly and that this was a one-off event that's just due to liquidations. But it's happening so fast. I was getting so many messages yesterday. What now? What now? I'm like, man, I'm watching it with you, man. We're 4 minutes into this insanity. I'm watching it with you there. Totally crazy. But, to go back and like look at things that we've been through this market before, just kind of give you an example of 2018, 19, and 20. This is totally brutal, right? And the liquidation slammed the floor again one more time. This is similar to what we experienced with C19 back in 2020 as well, when we went back and hit those floors again and just completely tried to shatter the earth, in some cases even setting new lows throughout the cryptocurrency market, yet still able to maintain them here on most assets that have been able to maintain their floors really ever since June of 2022, going on over a year. So definitely a hard smack against the ground, a good test coming in there against the ground. But again, now it's going to be more focusing on, will Bitcoin maintain its floor currently right now? How is the Dow Jones going to react, which surprisingly not terrible there, down only 80 points now that we're at 8 minutes into the markets actually being opened. So that's a relief. I can tell you that's something that probably kept me up at night. What's the stock market going to do tomorrow? That was definitely on my worry list for today. Look, we see metals starting to pull back a little bit. That's not a terrible thing to see. To see equities holding themselves okay, and to see metals pulling back a little bit. Look at that. Okay, fortunately, there's even a little bit of green over there in the stock market to get the day started. The DXY fighting against the resistances to get itself a breakout happening over here. XRP versus Bitcoin, of course, with all resistances shattered, takes that one down too. Bitcoin dominance falling during this moment. I think it's not a surprise. I think Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin's on the bottom of the list today. We got most of the cryptocurrency market in the green, Bitcoin at the very low, the bottom in there. That'll be interesting to see how that does develop. As I've talked about, going back and reviewing the safety trade of Ethereum and Bitcoin and USDT, all those dominances really reaching their peaks, including Bitcoin's, to see that you would expect in a moment like this that Bitcoin would be taking back the dominance in this situation. It's not. It's at the very bottom of the actual list in a time period like this, which is so interesting to see, to build a thesis of the market at this time, when we have that type of price action happening for Bitcoin and that type of dominance swing happening over there for Bitcoin. So certainly a wild, wacky time. It's probably I go back and think about it. I've been in here since the first half of 2017. I've been through many corrections. And while FTX seems huge, while C19 seems huge, when you're early in the market, every correction in crypto seems huge because you're not used to the type of volatility. And I remember the correction that took place in the summer of 2017. We just kind of gotten done with an alt season running up in May, kind of topping there in May and June. And then by late July, Bitcoin falls all the way down to like $1,850. And that just felt utterly insane to me. And so that one's always going to have a memory of being super insane. And that one, for some reason, it always gets categorized in my brain of being similar to C19, being similar to the capitulation of 2018, the capitulation in 2022, or the SEC lawsuit. This one doesn't really have the same emotional feeling to it as those did, but to see the aggression of the price action happening there in the market to only take place in a matter of 4 minutes, surely just shocking and mind-blowing to see that actually happen in there. So again, the liquidations that we saw here in the market exceeded that of FTX. That's how crazy it was in the matter of that short time period. So now it's going to be about letting the market settle to confirm that this liquidation event is done, which you would have, right, I'm taking a shot in the dark less than 24 hours after this happens. We're less than 18 hours after this happens. It sure seems like the liquidation is done. It lasted for a mere 4 minutes, and then now we've gone 18 hours of holding steady, right? That was the liquidation event that ended up happening. Now it's to see how are we going to build bases happening in here, and how is crypto going to respond, and really to pay attention, it seems in these moments, right? If crypto is to recover, what we witnessed in 2020 into 2021 was we watched really Some coins get strong, some coins go recover quickly, and some coins stay very weak. And to really kind of pay attention, who is going to recover out of this very quickly, and maybe for me particularly, maybe some portfolio rebalancing in the event that we do see some serious recoveries start to emerge from this and some serious weakness still contained, because we likely shouldn't be having any more liquidation style events after something like this big, before a recovery. That should have been it. That should have wiped all leverage out of the market to exceed FTX in something like that. So, all right, there you go. Brutal. Just right through it. We had the level correct. That was the level of importance. That's the one that shattered it completely down. We even had it right over here on XRP. That is the level that shattered it down. Everything shattered at the same time. Now time to let this thing breathe and see which way are we heading here for XRP. But to say there's a clear picture on there, I think the only thing people would point to at this point, which makes logical sense, the only thing you would point to at this point for a move like this would be to go back to the SEC. I'm unwilling to go say we're going to go back and redo what the SEC collapse did, but to look at it from a perspective of something like that, it would be in that circumstance. And what would it tell you? It would tell you this thing's not done. So if you're going to try to use history as a guidance in there you go. But we're a mere 18 hours into it. I'm going to let it kind of breathe for a minute. I'm going to let the stock market tell us what's going on. I'm going to let Bitcoin tell us what's going on for a minute before we formulate it. And hopefully through the weekend, we can get a little bit of a clearer picture emerging there for XRP. But definitely a heartbreaker to see something like that happen for a liquidation event larger than FTX to happen in the market. And of course, as I've always stated, there's never been a switch flipped, guys. we're tied to the cryptocurrency market with XRP. And when the Ripple lawsuit was going on and the SEC was trying to accuse Ripple of being able to control the price of XRP, I tried to make that statement over and over again, not to help Ripple, but to be straight with everybody with all the switch flipping and all that kind of stuff. We're super tied to this market. We get a liquidation event. Guess what? We go with it. Bitcoin rips to the upside. Guess what? We go with it. And unfortunately, we just watched liquidations of mass happen in the market. And well, everybody was a victim of it. So there we go. All right, let's check back on the stock market to see how we're doing now that we're still kind of settling into the opening here. We're now 14 minutes into the opening. A couple of them are in the green, which, okay. Down 85 points. So it's down 0.22%. The NASDAQ is down 0.72%, and the S&P is down 0.4%. Again, this is the big news that's coming from macro markets today. China's property giant Evergrande files for bankruptcy protection in Manhattan court. That's going to take your front page. China's property giant Evergrande files for bankruptcy protection. That's the thing you've got all over the front page over here on Bloomberg as well. That's the big worries happening out there in the market. And so, of course, this all happens after the markets closed yesterday, that you get this filing for bankruptcy. And then you also get rumors swirling that Elon Musk, that SpaceX have now sold off their Bitcoin. Elon Musk has not addressed that, making kind of cryptic tweets over there on Twitter. I haven't checked on him in the last couple of hours. Has he done anything outside of just being cryptic with weird videos and stuff? No, he's still just posting weird videos and cryptic stuff. So not acting in his usual stuff over there on Twitter. But anyway, not addressing that. Yeah, the deal is, right, whether or not those things mattered, it's sent a cascading liquidation that happened in crypto. So lost my train of thought there. All right, check on the news over here. See what we got. We don't care. Nobody cares about SHIB today. Mantle pauses. Okay, real reason for China's war on crypto. Tether discontinues Bitcoin stablecoin. SpaceX wrote down $373 million worth of Bitcoin. We can check on that. That was one of the news. Aerospace technology firm SpaceX reportedly wrote down the value of Bitcoin it owns by a total of $373 million last year and the year before, and may have sold all of its holdings. So the Wall Street Journal article that came out when all of this occurred says and sold the cryptocurrency. So I do keep seeing Bitcoiners going around saying it doesn't say that he sold. It doesn't say that he sold. The article does say and sold the cryptocurrency. According to August 17th report, and of course you can see here this says may have sold. The article stated did sell, but that has not been confirmed. According to an August 17th report in the Wall Street Journal, SpaceX reported 373 million balance sheet, and then you change it and you say and has reportedly sold the crypto. Why'd you repeat yourself? Okay. It hasn't been confirmed whether the entire $373 million stash was sold. SpaceX wrote down the value of the Bitcoin it owns by a total of $373 million last year and in 2020 and sold. Okay, then you go on and you state the truth. What are you doing, Cointelegraph? Why did you do that twice and then finally give the real quote? Okay. SpaceX wrote down the value of Bitcoin it owns by a total of $373 million last year and in 2021 and has sold the cryptocurrency, reported the Wall Street Journal. Thanks to Cointelegraph for trying to spin it for us twice to then finally give us the real quote. The news outlet reportedly viewed documents on the firm's financials showing roughly $5.2 billion in total expenses for 2022 and $5.4 billion in 2021 and 2022 for acquiring property and equipment in addition to research and development costs. Okay. Anyway. Yep. So the rumor swirls that they ended up selling all of their Bitcoin. That whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. Like I sold my Bitcoin, 65% of my Bitcoin in February of 2021. Within 1 week after Elon Musk and Tesla announced that they bought Bitcoin. Okay. Within 1 week of them announcing they bought it, I bailed. Felt stupid. Didn't feel like the right thing to do, but the technicals told me to do it. So if you want to let that influence you, cool, go for it. How did it work out for you if you bought after they announced they bought it, right? Poorly. So I don't really care about that narrative too much. More focus on macro, you know, what's going on with Evergrande, with how high the Dow Jones Industrial Average is, and things that we're talking about, right? So we've gotten through all retracement levels over here on the Dow. I would like to see this level hold that we're at right now to just continue the marching on for the Dow Jones Industrial Average over the course of the next couple of months to get a little bit higher. My thoughts are not that we are going into some super raging bull market for the Dow, but that the max we can reach out to is like a 4.236 extension, which is really, from where it's at right now, about 13 to 14% higher. Around $39,000 or 39,000 for the Dow Jones Industrial Average would be really the highest that I would imagine that it actually could go. And that's what my hopes are. But I have to be mindful of where we're at, that these are all just dangerous levels happening in here right now. My thoughts are not in it. Everybody's kind of having to play the protection game right now, or at least the people I talk to, right? People who have level heads who keep their heads level. Is that a term? That, you know, recognizing where we are in here. You guys probably see TXMC all the time, post over there, all that macroeconomic stuff showing that, you know, we've got 6 to 12 months until a recession happens, or maybe less, or maybe more. But in the end, all the economic data pointing to recession eventually coming. I think that's probably likely. But whether or not the technical chart is the thing that says that we have it. Do we have euphoria? Do you get all of retail wrong-footed to the upside again, like you do every single time, to where they think it just can't happen ever again? That's typically the thing that ends up happening. We got the Dow down now only 46 points. So, okay, safety. Safety as the stock market opens. But to just like, if you don't recognize it, and like how to understand that this is not engagement farming, right? And in today's video, I'm going to show references of how we've been talking about this for years. And to just like keep it as a scenario in the back of your head is to keep an eye on the stock market and understanding how high we are. I know for content creation, it's fun to just say, I'm always perma-bull, so I will always be bullish. That means I can just always say bull things, right? Because I'm perma-bull. But I try to refrain from that. I try to like look at everything from a real like analytical approach and what I can see happening in the market and understanding how high we are. And to just like give you the example of, let me hide that for just a second. To give you an example of how high we are right now, in regards to like a 4.236 extension for the Dow Jones, you guys know it. We went beyond the 3.618 Fibonacci extension. We've pulled back in here. We're getting back up. If we're graced with the gloriness of being able to go a little bit higher, that's going to be where I'm like, all right, like seriously, I'm probably going to do it. I'm probably going to be like, I'm taking my shots at it. I'm shorting the U.S. stock market if we get our way up there. And to also understand how big of a rise that is, I even wrote about this in my newsletter. Was that this week? It was this week. Boy, it feels like it's been a long week with what happened yesterday. To show you how high we've gotten with the stock market, just so you have like a macro understanding of where we are in markets, right? The Dow Jones is up over 430% since the great financial crisis. To get to a 4.236 extension, it's only 13 to 14% more. And if you were to overlay how high the roaring 20s went before it fell on itself, it just so happens to be that if you start the roaring 20s at the bottom where the great financial crisis was, it perfectly nails the 4.236 extension of our current range. So to have a just grasp on how high the stock market is in the amount of time that it's taken for us to get here, look back to the roaring 20s. Look how high the roaring 20s went. Look where it topped out at. Where did it all fall apart at? And that we're not there yet. Hopefully, we at least get there. But to not, that's why I kind of like keep reiterating the 4-year cycles, the block reward halvings, and that whole idea of it all is to just kind of keep this in the back of our minds at the same time where we are just in regards to macro long-term cycles. And this is probably mind-blowing for people seeing this right here. This is the roaring 20s. This is the Great Depression. This is how high we went. And you can see where we are right now to recognize we are that high. It's a wild one to look at. So when I was having my phone calls yesterday, we were talking all about this. This was really a topic that we were having in discussion. This is before anything ended up happening over there in crypto and before liquidations took place. And just like, if we did get this, trying to like come up with the narratives of it and the ideas of what it would be like, this has been a time period where everybody's been looking for recessions, right? It's been the most Googled recession in history, if only for the market to pull back up, right? Even some stocks setting new all-time highs like Microsoft and Apple, of course, NVIDIA, right? And at what point do they all capitulate it back in? Having those discussions of what it was like for Bitcoin back in 2021 when everybody was like, just admit it's a bear market, and then they all swap and they all believe that we're going to $100,000. Is that kind of the same play out that we're happening here in the stock market? And, it seems pretty likely if we're not collapsing yet, which fortunately today, after you get a liquidation like that happening over there in crypto, you get pretty concerned. Is that going to transpire into the stock market? Unfortunately, thank God, we're 25 minutes into the opening and it doesn't look like it is, at least. And that's kind of the thesis to come here in the market. And so like when people accuse me of this being engagement farming, that's your problem, dude. You know what I mean? If we brought it up out of nowhere, sure. Okay. But keep it in mind. So, and I'm not sounding the alarm that this is in effect. And we've looked at this. As long as that low is holding in there at 25, you still have this, right? You still have ranging that is happening in here. But should you go take out the low, you can have a pretty hard argument. You're gonna have a pretty hard argument in there. But luckily, what do we have? What is the formula of 2023 been? The formula has been a liquidation event mixed with negative news. right? Did we get that? Yep, we got two negative newses. We got Evergrande filing for bankruptcy, one of China's largest real estate empires, and then you've got apparently Elon Musk selling off his Bitcoin. So, and then the biggest liquidation since FTX. So big moment happening in market, totally brutal. To see it happen in a matter of 4 minutes, absolutely stunning to see that happen. It was just a shock to watch how fast it all unfolded, probably like all of you guys. I posted over there on Twitter while it was live happening. I mean, it was done within a minute of the tweet being posted. Absolutely astonishing for it to play out like that. So for me, it's really going to be about giving it some time to breathe. Is it going to find a support, right? Bitcoin is not doing that so far, right? You go look at it. There's 5-minute time frame. Lows have held so far for Bitcoin, but right, we are looking at Bitcoin, right? But anything astonishing happening yet? No. So looking for supports to come in here for Bitcoin, and then having to determine theses. As of right now, this still remains intact, technically speaking, but whether or not we have to shift entirely. And fortunately, though, we can look over here to the stock market to say, are you giving us the early signal right now? As of today, it's not giving us an early signal of the sky is falling just yet, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure. So XRP, totally rough to see that type of thing happen. Hopefully it can recover quickly. Otherwise, we could be in for a long road ahead, if not. I've seen people point to this. I've seen people point to the SEC sell-off, right? And the problem with the SEC sell-off is just that going to be difficult to get the bigger breakouts, you would think. So again, hard to formulate an opinion. I'm not going to give a strong opinion on XRP when this is something I spend, out of all the time that I'm spending on crypto, 25 to 30 to 40% of my time is spent in this chart. I will spend the weekend really diving into this one. Certainly a heartbreaker to see a range accumulate for a year and 2 months, and then a broader market liquidation event completely crack it back into the range. And that's kind of a difference that's happening in here, right? Where the arrow is pointing to, this is an XRP specific situation that happened in here, right? This is XRP getting delisted from exchanges. This is, the Grayscale XRP trust being unwound. This is sheer panic of participants leaving XRP because they're worried that it's gloom and doom town forever and it's never coming back. That is not what this is, right? This is obviously a liquidation event candle, not a, oh my gosh, get away from this asset because it's in big trouble long term. This is a broader market liquidation. So I'm going to give this a little time to breathe over here for XRP to formulate a strong opinion, because obviously I need to. It's my largest holding. I need to formulate a large opinion on the structural behavior of this. I'm not a trend line guy, but what do you immediately start doing? You're like saying, oh boy, we take out, we even dip below the breakout of the SEC stuff, right? Do you have just yourself a wicked backtest of a breakout happening in here after we talked so much trash about trend lines in yesterday's live stream? I'm not a big trend liner. But yeah, so, give this a little time to breathe, but boy, it definitely is a heartbreaker. The fortunate thing for it though, is it's not an XRP specific event. It was a cascading liquidation event of something that was larger than FTX that happened in the market in a matter of 4 minutes. So we'll see how it goes throughout the weekend. And especially something I want to keep an eye on today is just to see, how does the stock market handle today? Does it spiral out of control with other things, or is this back test completed? Is this also capitulation happening here in this move for the stock market, which was capitulation happening over there in the cryptocurrency market at the same time? So we'll see how it goes. But after 39 minutes of rambling, I think we've kind of hit it all. The only other thing, Bitcoin dominance, obviously plunging into that. That's a unique one, right? All this talk about dominance. You would think that this guy would be rampaging into a moment like this, seeking safety, and it's not. So that's an interesting dynamic too. So it's probably a complicated setup that we have happening here in the markets today and yesterday, and just in general. But all right, let me go ahead and hop into the chat. Again, let me restate this. I have a video already recorded. It's at about 15 minutes long. It still needs to probably about 5 more minutes added to the video, final editing, exporting, uploading, and then it'll go live. And then we'll see about other content again today. It's a big day. It's the end of the week as we get ready to head into the weekend. So we'll see what other kind of stuff we can get out there later today. So keep your eyes out for a video that will come out in approximately an hour after this live stream comes to a conclusion. And then maybe something else again later today as we get ready for the weekend after really, I mean, and it just doesn't feel like it because it happened so fast. It happened in 4 minutes. To think we just had an FTX collapse happen in 4 minutes. It was it was over. It's just shocking to wrap your head around how that could happen so fast, but it sure did. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the chat. Amarin Jeffrey, member of 4 months, says, "Hey, Dad, can you tell me it will all be okay? We'll keep our eyes on it, man. It's happened so aggressive. We'll see. Give more information." Krista Leon, thank you for all that you do, BCB. Thank you very much. Andy Philpott gifted 5 blockchain backer memberships. Thank you, Andy. Chris DeLeon, BCB, do you believe we will have a chance to rotate altcoins into XRP before XRP moves? BCB Beach Party Barbecue, BCB Emotional Log live stream. You know what's so funny is you would think today would be a really good day for to document in emotions. I'm curious, if you have them, write them. Emotionally for me, I even understand my own emotions. I'm much better at containing them over the years, and just recognizing when I feel certain ways. So like when Luna was collapsing, for example, and Celsius was collapsing, that's when I was feeling the gut wrenching, right? The pain in the pit of my stomach. That one where you want to crawl into the corner and just kind of rock back and forth and be like, "Dang, this is brutal," and you physically feel it. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. You physically feel ill, but still having to contain that and say, you know what? Every time I have felt like this was when this was the end of it. This was the end of the chaos. Whenever I felt like this, that's usually the end. Or whenever I'm feeling euphoric, I can recognize those too. In this moment, just really no emotions. And I'm just curious if it's just because it happened so fast. It happened so abruptly in 4 or 5 minutes. There wasn't even enough time for something like that to happen. And that we really saw a lot of the altcoins just kind of hold, yearly floors. We've seen we've seen Bitcoin even hold floors. Hasn't really been enough time for something like that to happen. But if you're definitely feeling them, it's always a good time to write them down. If you're feeling an extreme one way or another. But do you believe that we'll have a chance to rotate? Rotations are always difficult. We watched how difficult rotations were in the last one, right? I nailed some of my rotations. I didn't nail some of my rotations in the last run. So yeah, it's certainly possible though. We'll have to see, Chris. Let's get out of this moment we're in first, buddy. Jaxer says, "I'm feeling like a squeezed orange, liquidated." Again, this is a great time to remind because every time it gets brought up in the live streams, I always say, this is why I don't do leverage trading. This is why I don't do margin, and why I do not support that on the channel or promote that, and I do not encourage it. And I always say, don't do it. You can lose money by watching an asset fall, but you can lose all of your money when it gets liquidated and it gets pummeled into the ground. You can diversify your account as beautifully as you want to, but if you have it all on an exchange and one asset gets carried away too far because you were too high on leverage, it doesn't matter how diversified you were, it'll get liquidated, right? And to understand how that also works too in these liquidations is it's not just that one asset goes down below and then it's got to sell that one asset, right? Like if Bitcoin goes too low, then it sells off all the Bitcoin. It liquidates everything in a person's account. So every altcoin, all of them they get completely liquidated from the account. So if somebody has a margin long placed on Bitcoin, but in their account, they've got XRP, they've got Ethereum, they've got Litecoin, and then that leverage long goes the wrong way too far because they put too much leverage on it, say 5, 6, 10x, 100x. It will sell everything in their account. All the XRP will get sold, all the Litecoin, all the Ethereum, all the everything will get sold off. And so then you watch all those things get sold off due to the liquidations. And then what happens? Then it cascade triggers stop losses even on those assets, because then a support breaks on those assets and more stops get triggered. And it causes everything to spiral out of control very quickly. And so what we obviously see is there was a strong buildup of leverage in the cryptocurrency market due to stagnant price action for so long. People get bored. What do? They put themselves on leverage to make things more exciting. And boom, all of it went. Baby Oscar Hernandez. I'll get to you in a minute. All right. Thank you, Jaxer. The Boogle. Did XRP's falls back to pre-case prices change your opinion on the SEC stopping XRP to make a new all-time high last bull run, and thoughts on XRP going forward? I made a statement. Somebody asked this question a few days ago. I made a pretty clear statement to say that we'll never know. We'll never know if it did or if it didn't. You could see the timing of it and when it occurred, but we will never definitively know. Right? So, and there's just no way to know. So I don't have a strong opinion to say whether or not it did or did not hamper it from setting the all-time high, as we saw lots of altcoins not set the all-time high, right? And if you look at XRP's structure, what has it done? It's gone back to retracement just like it did in 2014 through 2016, falls 88.5 or 85.5%. It's still the exact same setup. So did it hamper it? Did it not hamper it? We just will never know the answer. And I don't try to. I've had enough time to think about it. I don't try to waste energy on seeing if I can decipher the answer one way or another. It's just a waste of energy. Cash Me Outside. Thank you, brother. Gifts a BCB membership. Everett S. Hi, BCB. Why does the engagement farming comment on your X post get so much under your skin? Who thinks this obviously doesn't know you at all? Yeah. So it's kind of like, what do you call it? You can't save everybody, right? That's always the thing. But at the same, it doesn't stop you. You still want to. So there could be people who listen to that, right? And I don't want people like, I want us to do good. I want us to do well. This is a challenging market, but what you get is you get that, and then you get other people who like it, and then it gains steam, and people see it. Oh, this is just an engagement farming post. And I want people to know it's not. It's not. It's something very seriously talked about. So it's just important to me. XRP Revolution. Thank you very much. No message, man, but appreciate it. Oscar Hernandez gives 5 BCB memberships. Thank you, brother. Oscar, like here every day, brother. Super active in 702. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't been in there much lately. I'll do better. I'll do better today. Anti-Crapic. Crypto Pigeon. Oh, no. Your 58.8 position got liquidated. Yo, this is why we don't leverage trade. BCB. Also, you got it yesterday. Much love. Oh, yeah. Did I just say anti too? Anti-Crapic. No. Ante Crapic. And I'm going to fail again. I'm so sorry. Ante. Thank you very much. Pat. Thank you, brother. 5. Oscar Hernandez, smash the like button for further education, content. Check out BCB site and have a cup of coffee with some BCB merch. Dude, we were so busy today. I forgot to even do any of that stuff. Of course, follow me over here on Twitter at BCBacker. This is my only social media, and I do not DM you asking you to send me your crypto. If that happens, you're getting scammed by an impersonator. I did also write a newsletter out there. It's available over there at blockchainbacker.substack.com. There's also merch per your request. There it is. Link right there in the chat. And of course, check out bcbacker.com for all of your amazing videos with 11 hours of content. Back to crypto. Thank you for reminding that, Oscar. I forgot about that today. We were so busy with 39 minutes of rambling before we even got to the chat. Arnie Man. Hey, BCB, can you please have a look at the XRP USD chart on Bybit? It has done a back test to 32 cents. This is not the level we've been waiting for a long time. Bybit is like 100x leverage exchange. So if you're going to look at a massive leverage exchange, I could see that happening. It'd be like pulling up Poloniex and using Poloniex. I'm looking at Coinbase. I'm looking at Binance. I'm looking at the major ones rather than the super 100x leverage. So I'm not going to focus on Bybits. That's where probably most of all of this liquidation came from. Big Shroom. I don't know why, but I never feel dumber than when I miss trades or I get them wrong. Well, that's because we have 20/20 hindsight. That's the thing. Everybody has 20/20 hindsight, and most people on Twitter have it. See? That's the only reason why. Now, do you have foresight? That's the bigger challenge, trying to have the foresight. But hindsight's always going to be 20/20. Matt Smith. Gotta be a good sign alts are relatively holding up. Looks like a great setup for Bitcoin retrace in alt season, keeping the hope alive. Feel like we're going to know within the next 48 hours. Thanks, brother. I'd be surprised if we know within 48 hours. I'd be surprised. That was so aggressive. 5 minutes of just wham, and then 18 hours of nothing. I'd be surprised if we know within 48 hours. But thank you, Matt. Appreciate it, brother. Huge supporter of the channel, Matt. Thank you. Daniel Pricer says, as you let the markets breathe for a moment, have you considered going back to looking at on-chain metrics with Bitcoin and XRP? Well, you don't have really on-chain metrics to really look at aggressively with XRP. There's not, and you can ask the people who are honest. I love to lean on TXMC to give me opinions on chain. The main ones really that I care about, I'll let him speak for himself. Maybe I can set up a thing with him where we have a discussion again, and maybe he can show some stuff going on in there because I'm not the pro to lean on. But the things that I've noticed, the certain correlations to happen in there are going to be just address sizes, and whether you see addresses start to reduce themselves leading into it. So right now, we don't have it. You don't see that. You don't see Bitcoin addresses reducing. The addresses with greater than 10 Bitcoin, those are usually a big warning sign. Those are not reducing. I can't pull this up on the screen right now. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking at it myself. Addresses greater than 1 Bitcoin are not reducing in this. And addresses greater than 0.1. And then the addresses greater than 100 almost seems irrelevant because it just oscillates back and forth, and it has been for the last 3 years. No real data to be seen here on that. It looks like when the address is greater than 100 move down, they move down after a move up. Right now, they're not aggressively moving down. So I don't see anything there. I see nothing giving any signal an address is greater than 10, 1, or 0.1, and those historically have given some type of signal to Goblin Town coming. Crypto Man X, I want a gifted membership. Thank you, Crypto Man X. XRP Revolution. As you said during C19, this too shall pass. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, there's very few people I'll follow on Twitter who, when it comes to markets and like their analysis of markets and what they have to say, whether I'll take it very serious. There's one person I do find pretty valuable. And they have equated this to C19, equated this to being like our moment, like we've been through, the slam into the floor, the liquidation into the floor, the destruction phase that happens. And I found that pretty powerful to see that coming from them during a moment like this. Somebody who's very good. And you guys probably don't even know who they are. I keep it a little secret. But yeah, there's definitely no reason to scream death and doom yet, but certainly keep our eyes open for things, and that's why I talk about markets. I don't know if everybody has my view that this is how high we are with the stock market. That you're 13% below the Roaring 20s, right? So this is in my broader thesis market of the idea of the markets, and it's not in my thesis. God help us all if it is. It's not in my thesis that we have a 3-year Great Depression. It's I think we will trend down for a long time, but not that we go down in 3 years. It'd be rough times ahead for something like that to happen. But I'm very aware, very alert to how high the stock market is in general in relation to the Great Depression and the Roaring 20s. And this was part of my thesis. So I don't know how we got on that topic, but we did. Crazy day. Thank you, XRP Revolution. Matt Bender, thoughts on similarities to the lawsuit sell-off? Also, is ADO further along in its market cycle? I know crypto runs together, though. Disheartening day. It's always a tough day when you see a liquidation like that, for sure. And then you're trying to pick up the pieces and try to assess, how bad is it really, right? Is this the start of a new move to come in here? Are we going to ramp up after this? Is this how you flush out all leverage ahead of time, right? All the people who are long the market with leverage, they get flushed out before the market can move its way back up. When we flushed out leverage this hard with FTX, right? What happened? The market moved up afterwards, but it definitely took time to gather its strength back, right? So without any type of quick recovery happening today or tomorrow, probably having to assume we need to regain some strength in here if that is to be the case. Similarities to the sell. Maybe you sent this 16 minutes ago. Maybe I've already addressed that with the SEC lawsuit, right? It was actually very controlled. Do I have it up here? I closed it. Dang. You can actually see how controlled the SEC sell-off was. And for all of us who imagine this, if you were here during the SEC sell-off, and I know it's not a lot of the audience here, you have 3,000 people in here. Maybe it was 500 of you or 400 of you going through that moment. You think back on it and reflect back on it and think how insane it was and how crazy it was. And when you compare that to now, it's actually very controlled in what happened there. Let me go see if I can find it. It's probably gonna take me a while to get back to all the way back to 2017. But let me while I'm doing that, I'll get to the next question and continue my rambling. So what you're saying is HODL Summit Comedy Exhibit 3742 on why this market is not for the week. Thanks for all you do. It's up to you on whether or not you want to HODL. But yeah, this nothing about this market has ever been easy. The only times it's perceived as easy is when we're at the near end phase of the bull run, when everybody is screaming at you, you're the stupidest person on the planet to be worried. That's the only time it's perceived as easy. Otherwise, 99% of the time, we're fighting the battle on the long fight in here. Trying to get back there. Where am I at? I'm in June of. Hopefully this is okay. I'm in June of 2021. Just keep shifting this. Let's go on to the next question. The Victorious Z. I've spent weeks not looking at the charts during the day, and the one day I decided to look at it, the whole market was crashing. Emotional damage. Oh man, that's catastrophic. You might have to see a therapist after that. All right, here we go. What is this? December of 2021. Oh my gosh, I have a long ways to go. Okay, getting all the way back. All right, let's move on. Get to the next question while I keep going. Baby Oscar Hernandez. Why would the puppet master do this to an innocent baby? Oh, I'm so sorry. How's the stock market doing? Down 78 points. So down 0.22% for the Dow, down 0.77%, 73% for the Nasdaq, and 0.4% for the S&P. So yeah, we'll be watching this today. I would really like to see supports come in right in here where we already are, to not go set new lows on there, to feel relieved, because this would be normal. This would be totally normal to pull back in here and do something like this. And that would be the final flush. You know, that's why the markets get stressed so far. It's why crypto got stressed so far. It would be that would be relieving to see that happen there for the Dow. Oscar Hernandez, hit the like button, says the McMuffin. We're at over 1,100. That's pretty good. Crypto Pigeon, no! Pray for Crypto Pigeon. Liquidated. FML. Laughing. Yep. That's why we always say it. Always, in like every time. Crypto Pigeon is great because he's like I get to always give that little spill whenever he comes up here. That, and this is why we always say it on trading with margin, trading with leverage. This is how you get wiped to literal zero. Don't do it. Just don't do it. If you haven't realized, crypto is the most volatile market of the world, and it really just doesn't even need leverage in the first place. Patrick Bateman, right? When you see the stock market, it goes down imagine if the stock market went down 4% in a day. I've lost it. I'm on the screen. I'm so blind. Imagine if the stock market went down 4% in a day and lost 1,600 points on the Dow. That's not 4%. 1,300 points. The world would lose its mind. It would lose its mind. This market is so crazy without the necessities of any of that. Any of that leverage stuff. All right, Patrick Bateman. Fun fact, due to seasonal weakness, March of 2008, Bear Stearns falls in September of 2008. Lehman falls in September of 2019. Wait, what? Okay, okay, I'm wrong. Okay, so March of 2008 is where Bear Stearns fails, and then in September of 2008 is when Lehman falls. In September of 2019, Repo. And March of 2020, C19. March of 2023, banking crisis. March of 2020. Okay. Bank crisis comes back bigger. So your question is, does bank crisis come back bigger? Yeah, so I mean, you pretty much outlined like all the crazy. We're always going to have stuff, right? There's always going to be stuff. And that's always funny about economic forecasts is they never include any of the unpredictables that always end up happening that change the economic outlooks. That's why it's so difficult to ever like try to interpret any of that stuff and say it's going to be meaningful in the future whenever some huge event happens, right? Whenever something happens. So right now, like it's a perfect narrative. Like if you think about it from the United States perspective, it's a perfect narrative for China to be to blame. And I'm not picking on China. I'm using it from a narrative perspective of just kind of the propaganda that as United States citizens we've gotten about China for so long. And that, you know, if you think about the irresponsible taking on of debt, the irresponsible printing of money, the unfairness of where that money gets distributed within the United States and the corruption and who benefits from all of it, it would be a fantastic narrative to let the sky fall and it be China's fault. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of narratives I do look for. So like most narratives I don't take with very much concern. But when I see some type of narrative come out that can take all the heat off of politicians and all heat off the Federal Reserve, and it kind of be something related to kind of like a propaganda messaging we've gotten for so long, that might be something. You know what I mean? So that one is interesting, especially with how much China is interweaved within the global economy. And like I've always mentioned, people always say, I want to buy made in America. Go ahead and look at your phone and see where your phone was made that maybe you're watching this video on. Why don't you look at your shoes? Take your shoe off of your foot and look and see where that was made. Why don't you look at your shirt, your hat? Why don't you look at the mouse or the keyboard that you have in front of you? If you're in front of a computer, look at the back of your monitor and see where that was made. Pick up your Yeti cup. Pick up your blender bottle, whatever you have, and see where it was made. They're very entangled in everything in the global economy. So it makes a pretty good narrative to go with that. So just food for thought. Blockfella, BCB, busy, but always lurking. Thank you, Blockfella. I haven't seen you in a while. Bitcoin appeared to backtest a bull flag. No, I wouldn't think so. You're talking about this right here? No. So with Bitcoin, I'd be more concerned on it. Like, if we take out these lows, right? So that's going to be the next big watcher on those lows being taken out down in there. Or is this one of these events, right? So if you're going to say it's back testing a bull flag, it'd be kind of like saying, hey, look, we're back testing this bull flag over here, right? Unlikely, just with how deep we are, right? Unlikely. Hopefully we just kind of round out in here though. But it seems unlikely for us to recover quickly. It would be amazing though, man, if it freaking reverses quick though. That's what we've had all year long. Quick reversals. I'm not with that level of liquidation though. I'm not going to hold that type of expectation. I've certainly seen these types of things go around and reverse like that. But we just took a lot of money out of crypto with that liquidation that happened right there. Yes, Jaxer. Isn't engagement farming getting proposed to, breaking up, and keeping the gifts? X is being silly. You're not doing any of that. Right? Dude, like imagine if you're just like this chick who goes around and like totally knows how to work dudes over and gets like constantly like your annual salary is based on like, I need to get and propose to twice this year so I can get these engagement rings. And after they propose to me, I'm going to like totally make life miserable to where they don't want to marry me. And I just keep the engagement ring every time. And that's your job. All right. Oscar Hernandez, member 1 month. What's up? We got so many Oscars. It's amazing. Man, I hope Whiskey 2 is okay out there, man. We haven't seen him in a while, and not Oscar Hernandez. If we get out of this, could we be in fifth wave on long term since XRP inception? Do you expect inverted crashing structure like we saw in Bitcoin? Inverted crashing structure. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, and that seems likely of a fifth wave. I understood that. I was trying to think of the inverted crashing structure. So his question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Which makes logical sense because what do we also see in a wave 4 correction is you typically see a contracting triangle that takes place in here. And then we also see very clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 4, right? And then what are we also doing? We're also holding on top of wave 1 for wave 4, right? So the question is 5. Yeah, it's still the concept. As for the topping, I wouldn't. Your question is, would it look like an inverted crashing structure at the top? I wouldn't bet on it. That's not historically what we see with XRP. It's usually up and then lights out. Jonas says, if Dow Jones hold up, crypto could just be having a last flush, which is correct. You're right. It could be just be washing out the leverage, as this was the biggest liquidation event since FTX. It was actually larger than FTX. And what did we see with the market happen after FTX, right? It able to hold itself and turn itself back up. And most assets didn't go set new lows with this whole thing, right? We were talking about these things like it was C19. We definitely went and set new lows. It was unbelievably brutal at that time for that to end up happening. We haven't seen that yet. We've already seen the big leverage flush already happen in the market. We don't have that happening here where new lows are getting set throughout the market, and it didn't happen for XRP either. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see. It's less than 24 hours after this. Let's see how broader markets all respond to this and see if we're going to see anything else come of this at the same time. It's just all fresh and what's amazing is just to have something like this happen and such dramatic changes happen on charts, and they only happen within 4 minutes. The whole event took place in 4 minutes, which was insane. Jake the Beard says BlockFi wallets opened up for withdrawal yesterday, right before all of this. Something smells fishy here. Puppet Masters at it again. Thanks, BCB. Block. Interesting. It's interesting. I'll look into that. What they're pointing to. BlockFi opens crypto withdrawals for eligible U.S. users following court order. So this was 22 hours ago, though. The only problem with that is that it wasn't like timed, right? Could that have added sell pressure? Sure. But, the reality of it was this was a 5-minute moment. And a 5-minute moment with this type of 24-hour wrecked liquidations that end up happening in here, it's just a liquidation event, cascading out of control. I can't believe I watched it live. I hadn't been on the computer for a few hours. I had just been on a phone call for 2 hours. And I got back to the computer and was doing some charting on a topic completely unrelated, totally with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And then I finished that and sent that over. And then I got pulled up the other charts and I saw 55 on XRP. I'm like, huh. And I saw 53 and I'm like, what? And then 48 and then 43. And it just, boom, snap of a finger. It all happened and then it was done. So it was truly an astonishing move to see that happen in such a short time. Grumpy Old Man says, this really sucks. It's not the falling that bothers me. It's the sideways that comes after it. Yeah, that's the part that's usually brutal, right? And that's where the emotions can get in check. So hopefully we see some action quickly because, when it happens that fast, we can kind of emotionally handle it. It's when it sits in for a long time, that's where people start to really get beat up. And the longer it sits in there, that's where the emotions get the best of people. They start lashing out. They start getting frustrated. Start screaming. So hopefully it's quick. Thank you, Grumpy Old Men. Jeremy Euler says, thoughts that we are just playing out the contracting triangle with XRP, E-Wave done, still above 200 MA, just needs Bitcoin to keep retracing and cooperate. Technically, it could, right? So, that could have been your whole E-Wave, right? That could have been it. Maybe I'll spend more time with it. I've only had it, like everybody, a couple of hours. This all happened late afternoon yesterday. And then me, I'm a family man, I got kids, so they don't care what happened on these charts. If I say there's a green line or a red line, they want to do daddy hugs. They want to eat dinner together. And then, you got bedtime too. So like everybody, I've probably only had about 5 hours to really look at all the charts and do stuff. But given throughout the weekend, we'll take a closer look at it. And we'll see if we can build that case. It'd be wonderful if it does. But all right, what are we at? 1 hour and 14 minutes. There we go, guys. So that's it. Looks like the stock market is holding up okay in the thick of all of this moment happening in here, sitting down only 76 points for the Dow, only 19 for the S&P, and only 95 for the NASDAQ. And I know only, it's still down 0.62% over there for the NASDAQ. But certainly the stuff that shouldn't bother you. And if you need to, like, if your concept of how you've been treating the market is I buy when Elon Musk buys and I sell when Elon Musk sells, well, the top came right after Elon Musk bought. If it's true that Elon Musk sold, who cares? That's the reality of it. The thing that mattered was there was a 5-minute liquidation of insanity. An FTX style collapse happened within 5 minutes yesterday. And it happened so fast. It was almost like you just closed your eyes and opened them back up and boom, it had already happened. Unlike where we kind of like got all the panic of it. Unlike when we had the SEC collapse, you kind of like watched it all unfold and it got worse and worse and worse. And you have Coinbase is going to delist, and then you have Kraken's going to delist, and then you have Grayscale is going to unload their entire XRP trust on the market. And then here's the date that it's all over. And you're like, oh my gosh, it just gets worse and worse. This was so unique in that it literally happened so fast, you probably couldn't blink. Most people probably saw it after it already happened because it happened so fast. You didn't even get a chance to catch it live. You just saw it after it was already done because it was so short. So I'll keep an eye on it throughout the weekend, and then I've been given a note. PTW cares. Dean. See, I've got this note. It says, you missed Dean's super chat. Guys, I never try to miss them. If I ever do miss them, it's totally an accident, and PTW is on it at all times. Dean, XRP back to 0.786 from June bottom to July high. Huh, close. Close. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you, Dean. And I've got this nice little note. To-do list. You missed Dean's super chat. She even wrote me a little heart at the bottom of it, too. Oscar Hernandez, BCB, super chat from Dean. Even Oscar tried to remind me. Anthony Trujillo, I saw somewhere on X that Bitcoin dominance is falling. By the way, hit the like if you love puppies and kittens. That's right. If you like to save babies from buildings that are falling, hit the like button. We had Bitcoin dominance up a minute ago. Yeah, there you go. Pretty amazing. Who's at the bottom of the list? Bitcoin. Wow. Hans Helders, how's the XRP Bitcoin holding up against the 200 week? It crushed it. It crushed everything yesterday in that move. Where is it? There it is. Getting back to it. Brutal. So it's about 5.5% below it. Member, 1 month. Welcome. Ari says, irony if market recovers by the halving. Yeah. If the stock market completely crashes and crumbles, if the stock market completely dies, and if Bitcoin goes on its 4-year cycle with the block reward halving, I'll never doubt it ever again. Mind you, I never doubted it in 2018 and 19. I was making YouTube videos while a lot of people were screaming at me that it was never going to go. But I had my targets picked out and stuck to them into 2021. And of course, then they all tell me it's never going to go down. But if the stock market crashes and crumbles and Bitcoin still goes on its 4-year cycle after the halving, I will never doubt it again. Okay, deal? But all right, guys. There we go. Stock market is holding up okay. for the day. But it's the end of the day. I've read online there's a lot of contract closings that are happening today, so definitely don't keep your eyes off of it before the day comes to a conclusion. I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here to go ahead and get working on the video that I've already have in production. That should be released within about an hour from right now. And then we're going to see what other content we can put in later today for the afternoon. So, all right. We made it through the chaos, the 5 minutes of chaos, and things have just kind of settled down since. We'll keep our eyes on it, of course, and I'll check in with you guys again later. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this video or like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.